I don't think it's necessary. I think it's fine. Either way, we'll talk. And away we go. Hello, everybody. Let's go. NBA playoffs front and center. Picks and roll. Never mind the daily ticket graphic. That's all right. Sam Oshtry from The Score. I'm Sean Brace. A lot to discuss. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as I said, all things NBA playoffs. Great matchup so far. Interesting storyline. Superstars struggling. People separating themselves a little bit as well. And oh, by the way, our next round matchup, our second round matchup, first one in the books. And man, the dog could potentially be barking. Not according to Vegas, so that's for damn sure. Sam, how we doing today?
Great.
Just one word.
These doesn't get much better than this with what we got with the playoffs right now. It's been awesome, and let's get to it.
Yeah, man. Look, all right, we'll open up with what took place last night, and I know everybody's losing their mind on ESPN today about Tibbs and the fact that he wasn't able to get Brunson and Josh Hart back into the game. You know, are we making a mountain out of a molehill here, Sam? Because I think it was a 6-point game, if I'm not mistaken. It looked like Detroit was winning that ball game. I get it. Maybe you use a timeout there, get them back into the game, but they were on defense as well. I don't know. I get it. We need something to point our finger at why we lost. You know, correct me if I'm wrong. Don't they play 47 other minutes as well throughout the course of a game in NBA basketball? So, you know, I get it. We can point to that final minute, and maybe it wasn't Tibbs' smartest approach. But at the end of the day, I don't think Detroit was losing that game.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been critical of Thibs for a lot of reasons this series, and it goes beyond that. And like, I'm not one to pile on coaches usually, but he's just not having a good series. And we can talk about how he's not putting Brunson off the ball, and Brunson is just taking a beating every time down the floor. Like, he's just he's getting mauled on every single time, just dribbling down the floor. And he's obviously already nursing a bum ankle. He already plays a ton of minutes. Like, get him reps off the ball. They're not running pick and roll with him and Karl-Anthony Towns near as much as they were in the regular season. They're not posting up Karl-Anthony Towns when he has Tobias Harris on him. Mikal Bridges isn't as involved in the offense as he should be. So there's a ton to be critical about with Thibs. And then when something like last night happens, it just gets magnified. Because, yeah, it was a mistake. I mean, there's 2 minutes to go in the game. First off, they were going into a timeout when Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson went out. So I don't know why they actually exited the game or were subbed out of the game in the first place. If they're going to come back a minute later anyway, and like they're fine from a health perspective, then just leave them in the game. But they were going into a timeout. They come out of the timeout. Those two guys
were hurt.
They were hurt. They were hurt. But like, you obviously weren't hurt or not hurt enough to stay out of the game the whole time.
I think Josh Hart got hit in the balls, right? Let's just call it what it was. I think that's what it was.
That's what it looks like.
You know, he's rolling around on the floor. And then Brunson, I think, screwed up his ankle again, which, you know, is easy for me to sit here and say. I rolled my ankle walking out of my house yesterday. I was on my driveway, laying on my driveway. Like you might as well just put the chalk around it.
You missed a step?
No, there was just huge, this front welcome mat that we pulled from the top and put it down. And my daughter was yelling at me, and I came down and I stepped on the edge of it, and then my ankle like just twisted. I'm like, I'm done. I felt like Brunson there, but you know, look, a bigger stage. I'm with you. So it's like, you know, get them back into the ball game. You got to figure out some way, somehow. But I think you're even more spot on with your assessment, as Thibs throughout the course of the series has not been good.
Yeah, and like I said, it gets magnified when he has moments like that. Like, yeah, Brunson had a bum ankle there and he hurt it. But if you're going to go out of the game, and come back a minute later, don't go out. Like, you obviously have an idea of the level of pain. It's like, all right, I'm going to come back in. So don't go out in the first place. And then when there's 2 minutes left, fine. I get from Thibs' perspective, only has one timeout. He's assuming there will be a dead ball or some type of foul or stoppage where he can get them in. But when clock starts ticking and the game is winding down and there's no dead ball and it's just a bunch of live play and you can't get these guys in, use your timeout to get them in the game. Because he ended up burning it with 27 seconds left anyway, after a Pistons made bucket. So it's like you just wasted a minute and a half and then you ended up using your last timeout anyway. call that timeout earlier, get them back in the game, and then you maybe have a chance with 2 minutes left. Because it's not just anyone who's out of the game. It's the most clutch player in the NBA who's out of the game, who's been awesome in the fourth quarters. So, like, it's been a bad series from Thibs. And not like JB Bickerstaff's been a great coach. I mean, he's using his challenges way too early in these games. But this is just, it's not exactly two coaches playing chess. It's more like checkers out there.
Oh, let's see here. Sean Bernard checking in. Well. How about those Pistons? I am shocked Sean Bernard is checking in this early here, wanting to talk about some NBA playoffs.
He's taking his victory lap. He's taking his victory lap.
Over 5.5 was the play. I got to give him the credit. Quotations, bigger stage. Sean Bray says he compares Jalen Brunson rolling his ankle in the NBA playoffs. Yes, I know. Ankles. We're talking ankles. Steph Curry, Jalen Brunson, Sean Brace, worst ankles in the world. All right.
You got an ankle brace.
Yeah, 5. There you go. 5.5. Good call. It was. Look, this series has been crazy, right? Like if we want to play that game, the Pistons could easily have won this series by now.
Yeah, I don't like playing
not easily, but they were in the running for 4-1. I think we could easily get the 3-2 though, right, in favor of Detroit.
My whole thing is like even after game 2, when it's 1-1 and everyone's like the Pistons could easily be up 2-0 if it wasn't for a 21-0 run in the second half of game 1. It's like, okay, but if you're down 0-1 in the first game, your mentality in the second game is going to be a little different. You're going to play a little more desperate. So it's like I don't really like playing that game of what the series score could be, because you can't really map it out like that. But this series is way more competitive than I thought. I will say that. Pistons, for their physicality, the Knicks have mostly matched their physicality, but I don't think they expected it to be an all-out war and dogfight here. Pistons have been they just don't go away. Like everything you throw at them, you go on a 10-0, 12-0 run, and the Knicks think they have the game secured, Pistons will come crawling back. Like this team is just physical. They're tough. They defend. Cade Cunningham, obviously, is awesome. He was great. Not as much as a scorer. He wasn't efficient as a scorer yesterday. I thought he was really good as a passer, as a playmaker, of knowing when to go, when to set guys up. He's just such a smart player for how young he is. So I was really impressed I have been impressed with this Pistons group. But now on the flip side, assuming the Knicks end up winning this series, which maybe is a false, maybe it's too early to assume that. I still think the Knicks take care of it in 6. Maybe it's too early to assume that. But now the Celtics are getting all this rest, while the Knicks, and I thought that could be a series, Knicks Celtics next series. But now the Celtics are getting all this rest, and the Knicks have to go back to Detroit. They're losing rest. And they're coming off the most physical series out of any first-round matchup, probably more so than even Warriors-Rockets, because this series has been all-out war. Brunson is getting mauled on every single possession. Josh Hart and OG and all these guys are getting mauled on every possession. So they have less rest than the Celtics for next series, and they're getting mauled. And this is the most physical playoff series maybe there's been in the last 20 years. So it's bad news bears for the Knicks heading into next round. They could get swept.
Yeah, and that's frustrating. You're right about that. And it comes into, of course, in the West side too as well, where we'll see what happens. We'll look at some of those second-round matchups potentially, but it's the thing you have to factor in. It's like, all right, if somebody is going to knock off Oklahoma City, maybe it's because Oklahoma City gets tested in this next round, and maybe in the Western Conference Final, that's where it happens. Other than that, I'm really... I think we're pulling teeth to see that Oklahoma City won't be in the NBA Finals. We'll save that conversation, as I said.
Yeah, well, real quick, just to your point on that, it's like the Clippers and Nuggets, I think, are about to go 7, and that's also been a war. And it's just like heading into the Thunder, who will have over a week of rest after sweeping the Grizzlies. They're going to have so much. They're going to be well rested, and those 2 other teams are going to come off of crazy competitive series.
Yep. Exactly that. Spot on. All right. Well, Sean Bernard, he's fired up. He's got the caffeine rolling. They are only one whistle away from games outcome directly being different. I do like to play.
I don't play that game. It's just your mindset, your mentality based on the series score is completely different. I don't play that game.
Full disclosure, we're recording this in the AM. Sam Oshtry had to get him on. We're doing a lot more live P&R throughout the course of the day. And, of course, next week starting at night with the round 2 matchups as we get closer until we crown a champion. So if you're listening to this, you just got Sean Bernard for 2 hours from 3 to 5. Now you're getting Sam Oshtry here. So I love it. But that's the NBA playoffs. They've been exciting. So far, been delivering so much.
Awesome.
And again, you answered the question already. And one cool thing that I love from the sports gambling perspective is watching the series price from start pre-series as a win happens, the shift where the money comes in. Right now, the Pistons plus 380. That's a big ask. Knicks minus 500. But Sam Oshtry, does this go back to New York in your mind?
No, it doesn't go back to New York.
Wow.
And the big reason why the Knicks were up 3-1 in the first place was because of the fourth quarter and the clutch play and the experience. So yeah, you can say they're going back to Detroit. It's a hostile environment. The Knicks just won 2 games in Detroit as the fans were screaming "F you, Brunson" the entire time. Like the road atmospheres, and I've been saying this, I don't really buy home court advantage. Road atmospheres do not affect NBA players. They just don't. And a lot of them love them. And a lot of them cherish the opportunity to play in a hostile road atmosphere. So I'm not really worried about the Knicks taking care of business in Detroit. I just think the fourth quarter, the clutch play, assuming they make it out of that game healthy and Brunson can actually play for a fourth quarter, because we've now seen consecutive games where he's had to leave in the fourth quarter because of his ankle. So if he can somehow make it out healthy throughout the entire fourth quarter, I think the Knicks take care of business. But all these games have really followed a very similar script.
Yeah. Physical, get out of the way, refs. They like to make their calls every once in a while that have you scratching your head, but that's every NBA game. I will say this. I think you go back every one of these games, Brunson has been dinged up some way, somehow. And I'm not saying he's faking it by no means. It's a bad ankle. It's a bad ankle. This dude is Teflon. Now, he didn't have the greatest game yesterday. Correct me if I'm wrong. Shooting-wise, I don't think he finished with more than 20,
he only had 16 points.
16, yeah. So he was way off his average. But he's been, what? I mean, there's been some really great basketball being played in these playoffs. But when it comes to fourth quarter crunch time, he's probably been the best.
Oh, he's still leading. Even with the poor performance yesterday, he's still leading the NBA in fourth quarter points and clutch points, because he was so, I mean, Kawhi Leonard was second in fourth quarter points yesterday. I didn't check it this morning, but he was almost 20 points ahead of Kawhi. So nobody's really catching him on that.
So that's what Sam does. Sam wakes up and checks who's leading in the fourth quarter points scored. All right.
That's the important quarter. Sean Bernard, hopefully he's still listening. He doesn't seem to think that quarter matters because he pulls out the first 3 quarter stats for Cade Cunningham. But the fourth quarter is the most important quarter.
All right. So 5.5 point spread outright. And for the Detroit Pistons, a 106-103. The total was 215.5. It stayed under at 209. And what a game it was. And as you pointed out, as far as the series is concerned, man, just it's kind of had that same flow as far as every single one of these games, nice and tight, defense, and then fourth quarter scoring. But a lot of fun to be a fan and just enjoy. All right. From the Detroit and New York Knicks series, once again, well, you know what, while we're here, we do have a number. Once again, tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. Knicks are 2-point dogs. Pistons favored by 2 points, 213. Are you surprised by that number? I think it's been about a point. Pistons been favored by a point in those road games.
Yeah, in those road games, it was a point to a point and a half.
Yeah.
I think that it flipped one game when the Knicks became a 1-point favorite. So I'm not really surprised by that at all. But look, you know who I'm going to be on? The Dogs.
Yeah, that's easy. All right, staying with last night, and let's talk a little bit about the Pacers and the Milwaukee Bucks. And they did not get the number, or they did not cover the spread of 8 points, Pacers, but they did come back in overtime, trailing by a bunch, and won the game at home. A lot of tempers flaring at the end, and rightfully so. I think
the least.
I think the NBA needs to address the fans, or the family members / fans coming onto the floor. You know, you can't have that no matter what. Like, these guys just finished a battle, and you got like father running in over there and somewhat taunting him. Like, he's lucky Giannis didn't knock his block off. The one image I saw, Giannis grabbed, I forget who it was. Did you see the image of Giannis? Like, it was like Predator. He literally had his hand behind an NBA player's back of the head.
Yeah,
and it was just like, holy, like, dude, Giannis is not a guy to mess with.
No.
He's proved his worth. You know who he is, and he will lose something over the game of basketball. But regardless, putting that to the side, let's talk about the Pacers. It's unfortunate, Sam, because I was yelling about this yesterday, and it's the playoffs because we know what's next. We know what's coming up in the next round for the Indiana Pacers, but clearly they're not getting enough attention. Clearly, heading into this series, they weren't getting enough love. A lot of people had the Milwaukee Bucks with Dame back. The Pacers, we know what they did last year, made it to the conference finals, of course, struggled to start the season this year, but have bounced back in a big way. 50 wins this year, 50 plus wins, right? We make a big deal about the New York Knicks with their 50 plus wins. It wasn't there for the Pacers. You had two guys and Chandler Parsons and Lou Williams say they don't even watch the Pacers and they're doing NBA basketball shows. Like the disrespect needs to come to an end. If not now, when? But the issue is now they got to take on an awesome Cleveland Cavalier team. We do have a series price. I don't even want to talk about last night's game because it is what it is. On to the next. The series price is intriguing to me, though, because you can get the Pacers at plus 350 versus the Cavs at minus 450. Any shot the dog is barking for you there?
I don't think so. What the Pacers used to their advantage against the Bucks was their depth. And Giannis was the best player in the series. And I think I overestimated that a little bit of how little help he had. And it was a tough night to be a Tyrese Halliburton hater because he was just awesome down the stretch, awesome in that overtime period, clutch basket after clutch basket, including the game-winning drive on Giannis, where you haven't really seen that explosion and burst on a drive from Tyrese one-on-one in kind of a while, honestly. So I was really impressed with him down the stretch. And of course, it was just a pathetic collapse from the Bucks and a brutal way to end the season and potentially end the Giannis era, which is unfortunate. But what the Cavs can match the Pacers with is their depth. I mean, this Cavs team is so deep, and that's what the Pacers use to their advantage. And the Pacers are a free-flowing offense that get a lot of guys involved, but so do the Cavs. Like that's why the Cavs are the number one offense in the league throughout these playoffs, and they were the number one offense in the league throughout the regular season. And it's because they have so many different options. We know the backcourt with Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, and those guys have really done a good job of complementing each other this year after some concerns the last few years. We know Evan Mobley's leap as a driver, as a short roll playmaker, how he processes the game, as a passer in the short roll. They're getting the ball to him in the short roll, at the elbow, in a ton of different ways in the way they hadn't in years past. And he's number one, his three-pointer looks better. He's actually a decent threat from out there. He's a way better driver. He's a way better passer. Him and Jarrett Allen make an awesome front court. And then we know you can plug and play DeAndre Hunter, who's more of a spot-up guy, but they run a few pick and rolls for him throughout the game too. You have Ty Jerome, Sam Morrell, all these guys, of course, Max Strus. They're so deep, and they have so many plug-and-play guys, and their offense is similar to the Pacers in the sense that it's free-flowing, and it involves a lot of guys, and it's not no guys ball dominant like you see with a team like the Knicks, maybe with Jalen Brunson. So it's a very similar play style in terms of their offense. The Cavs are just way better. Like they just have way more talent and are deeper. And I don't really see a way that the Pacers, who are now going to be actually playing a healthy team for the first time in their last 3 playoff series, they haven't played a healthy team where at least one of their best players on the other team hasn't missed significant portion of the series. Now they're going to go up against the Cavs, who are healthy. And we'll see what happens. But I don't give the Pacers a chance.
You're going to hear a bunch about this. These two teams have matched up 4 times since the new year. A lot of injuries for the Cavs. A lot of players missed in those 2 games, and 2, I believe, out of the 3 Pacer wins, including April 10th and April 13th. So don't get caught up as far as the overall record. It's definitely something that I think the Pacers should be discussing and focusing on, no doubt about that. But from the gambling perspective, for us out there, pay attention to who was in, and especially the time that both of those games were played. Again, we know what happens at the end of the regular season when it comes to the NBA. With that, though, what are we talking about with this series, Sam? Are you surprised by that price? Do you think this is going to be ugly? Like, is there something that makes you believe that the Pacers can turn this into a little bit of a fight? 4-2, 7? Is it 4-1? Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, I haven't looked at the series spread prices yet, but that's something I'd be interested in. I don't see it going more than 6. I could see it going 6, but I would maybe even dabble on 5 and see what that -2.5 series price is for the Cavs. If -1.5 is reasonable, I would definitely take that. Like I said, the Pacers are just the way worse team, and their defense isn't good enough to stop or limit the best offense in the entire league. The Cavs are so deep; they have so many different ways to beat you with their front court, with their back court, with their wings, with their depth, with all of it. They have so many different ways to beat you. And the Pacers aren't good enough defensively. And on the flip side, yeah, the Pacers are similar where they have so many different guys who can beat you. Like Benedict Mathurin was awesome in that series. Andrew Nembhard, all these guys who aren't the stars that are really contributing. And that's why the Pacers are as good as they are because of their depth. But they just don't stack up to the Cavs in that regard. So I don't see a way that the Pacers win this series or even make it that competitive. I mean, you could go 6 games, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be competitive. But 6 is the absolute max. I see the Pacers taking the series.
5.5 over 5.5 -110, under 5.5 -110 both ways. Series spread: Cavs -1.5 -180.
So that's a lot of juice. That's a lot of juice. But.
Oh yeah. Hey, look, if you folks out there, Pacer fans, don't listen to us. Fire on your team, right? Like the team is playing, they're hot. No one gave them a shot against Milwaukee. No one's giving them a shot against Cleveland. And I know
they were a favorite against Milwaukee.
Everybody I know had.
I was on the Bucks. I think a lot of people were on the Bucks
because Dame was back.
Yeah. And look, and then Dame was back in game 2, and then he wasn't back. And look, the Pacers were the better team regardless because Dame did not look good when he came back, which is expected after missing a month. But so the Pacers were the better team and probably gonna win that series anyway. But again, like they played a really injured team and just a battered down team. Last year, they are down 2-0 to the Knicks. OG Anunoby goes out. That's why they come back and win that series. The series before that, they play the Bucks without Giannis Antetokounmpo. Of course, they win that series, and that series even went 6. So Pacers are a way better team now, I think, especially defensively than they were last year. But look, they haven't played a team that's actually been healthy in the last 3 playoff series. Let's see what happens when they do, and it's been one of the best teams in the league all year.
Did love Tyrese Halliburton's post after, though.
Oh, he handled that well with his dad. He handled that well.
Well, I didn't even see what he had to say. And for those that don't know, long story short, old man Halliburton's at all those games. He's a lot like John Morant's old man. No issues there. Say what you want. Have fun. Be the center of attention. And in cities like Memphis and Indiana, hell, if this was Philadelphia, like AI's mom, in 2025, she'd have her Instagram page. She'd be an influencer. Like I understand how this works, but there has to be a separation. And shame on the NBA, shame on the Pacers for not separating that, man. The game's over. That floor, it's players only, dude. If you're not a player, don't get on the floor. And like we're bending over backwards for these college kids, but not the pros, dude. Like, I thought we were going to have another Malice at the Palace yesterday. I really did. I thought that was going to turn ugly. Yeah, it was pretty close. A series ends like that, and then it was crazy. The best part was Lopez shaking the Indiana Pacers mascot.
Yeah, I saw that, the mascot, because that's his thing. He always beefs with mascots. His brother used to. Him and Robin Lopez would always beef with mascots, and they just shakes his hand like he was a legitimate player. It wasn't even a joke. He was dead serious. He's like, stupid. It's a good hard fought series.
It was so stupid as the beef is going on in the backdrop.
But to your point,
what did Halliburton say?
What's that?
What did Halliburton say?
So first, Giannis, I mean, I don't think he realized it was his dad initially. It's just like some fans on the court.
Yeah.
Fans, parents, siblings, significant others. I don't care. You have no place on the court when that buzzer sounds. Like wait until they come back. You'll get your family pass and wait until they come back after they go to the locker room and all that. You shouldn't be on the court. It was beyond obnoxious. And the NBA should investigate it, and hopefully he just learns his lesson. I don't think he should be banned from basketball games like some are suggesting, but he hopefully learns his lesson and knows to never, ever pull a move like that again, because it was disrespectful, obnoxious, and just way out of bounds. But the initial interaction happened, and then they were separated, and then Giannis goes back to him, and that's when he puts they were like head to head. He puts his head on Tyrese Halliburton's dad's head. And I thought from there he could swing. And everyone was kind of just letting it play out. And then it took a few seconds for them to break it up. But Giannis had a great response to it in the post game. He's always introspective and has good perspective on these things and is always a good listen to in the post game. But Tyrese Halliburton also said he was like, I didn't know that happened until after the game. Like my dad was in the wrong. He said my pops
Nice.
was in the wrong. I had a conversation with my pops. Like that's unacceptable. I'm gonna talk to Giannis. So Tyrese handled it well.
Could you imagine having to deal with that?
I mean, like you have to be the adult in the room when your dad is acting like a clown. No, I can't.
Yeah, that would send me. I'd be like, "You're staying your ass home. Like, no more tickets for you, Dad.
Yeah.
Either that or no more booze. One or
I
the
mean,
other."
look what Patrick Mahomes has to deal with his dad.
Oh yeah, and brother and wife and
Yeah.
everything else.
Yeah.
You're right.
Well, at least he chose the wife. I mean, the other stuff he just
Yeah.
he has no choice.
So funny. All right. Let's keep it moving. Let's talk a little bit more about what took place again last night. We do have games going off this evening as well. We had four in the association last night. Again, great games from start to finish. We'll find out where Sam stands on the Celtics covering the number against the Orlando Magic. 11-point favorites in that one. That was the easy one. It was a little tight in the first half, but you just know Boston's going to hit that stride. And it came specifically in the third quarter when they outscored Orlando 36-13. Boston Celtics, just like, should we just push them and the Cavs right now, the Eastern Conference Finals, and let's get it on?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's a question, especially with the Knicks having just playing such a physical series that they just are going through with the Pistons, assuming they come out alive. Both from advancing and from a health perspective, come out alive. And I just don't see how they're going to, with the Celtics having this rest and Drew Holiday's a little banged up. Kristaps hasn't looked great this series. JB obviously entered the playoffs with an injury, but he's looked mostly fine. So the Celtics are going to have this extra rest, and they're just already the better, more talented team. Matchup problems everywhere, especially when the Celtics are the best team. I mean, all the playoffs are really about is just attacking the weakest link defensively and just matchup hunting. And the Celtics are the best team at that because they have matchup advantages 1 through 5 on the floor, guys who can put the ball on the floor, guys who can penetrate, create plays for others, guys who can post up. Like they post up Drew Holiday sometimes when he's in the lineup. All the 5 guys can make shots. So they're just matchup nightmares everywhere. And when the Knicks have Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns in the lineup, 2 defensive liabilities, they're just going to hunt them and hunt them and hunt them. And the Knicks will have no answers for that. So yeah, I'm pretty confident in the Celtics moving on. And look, the Magic were pretty good in that series defensively against the Celtics. They just have no offense and no shooting, so they couldn't keep up. But a lot of those games were competitive because what they did defensively, and they kind of just they really didn't help at all. And they were just playing a lot of guys straight up one-on-one because they have a lot of great perimeter one-on-one defenders. And people might look at that as somewhat of a blueprint for other teams to do against the Celtics, where it's just like we're gonna be in heavy help. Like there was a couple possessions or a lot of possessions where they were just locking guys and helping on shooters and saying, you have to beat us one-on-one. If you're going to consistently beat us, it's going to be one-on-one. We're not bringing extra help so you can put 2 on the ball and then get us in rotation. And that's when the Celtics are most lethal. So a lot of people might think that's a blueprint for how you should defend the Celtics. But in my opinion, it's not, because no other team left has the individual perimeter defenders or the strength and the girth defensively that the Magic have. So I don't see a way that the Celtics don't advance to the conference finals, and it's going to be Celtics Cavs, which should be an awesome series.
Boston -145, Cavs +160. Keep your eyes on those numbers right there. Really intriguing to see where they go next round. If they do potentially make the Eastern Conference Finals, that is to represent the East in the NBA Finals. You can get Boston at -145. I think if you're a Celtic backer, you got to jump all over that number at this point in time. I would be reluctant because I am leaning towards the Cavs a little bit here, but we got a series to play out. We'll see what happens over these next few games and whether or not Cavs get tested and Boston's healthy. But if you are trying to find a way to get involved with the NBA playoffs and you want to target the Boston Celtics, which is a pretty good bet, -145 right now on DraftKings Sportsbook. All right, Sam, keeping it moving as far as what we saw last night. Again, tonight we got 2 games that potentially could be the end of both of those series, and we'll close up shop with the Denver Nuggets and the Clippers. I'm invested with the Clippers as far as the series is concerned. I took a shot at them pre-series. Not regretting it, but definitely what I thought would happen last night took place. Denver was the better team. I didn't think that they would lose that game last night. Of course, Russell going off. I didn't really think that was going to be the case. It was a little bit of a sluggish start for the Clippers, and Denver just felt like they didn't miss at home. And they have that championship mentality. They got good players, and Murray goes off last night, 40-plus points. Clippers did everything they could. I heard Barkley say it at half, and it's not to say that it's the most in-depth X's and O's conversation, because I don't think you're ever going to get that on that show, with love and respect to Kenny. But Charles was like, hey, man, they're only down by 8. And look how good Denver played. I like where the Clippers are. And I'm like, I can see where you're at, Charles. But didn't play out like that. And, of course, the Denver Nuggets ended up winning 3-2. Now lead the series 3-2. Your big takeaway from last night's game 5 was what, Sam?
I mean, if I told you yesterday that Nikola Jokic would score 2 points in the second half and the Nuggets would win in a blowout, you wouldn't believe me, and I wouldn't believe myself.
No shot.
And that's kind of the whole story with this Nuggets team. It's like, we know what Nikola Jokic is and can do. What is their supporting cast going to do? And how are they going to show up? Like, we've seen over the last year and a half, a lot of inconsistency from Jamal Murray. That was bubble Jamal Murray. That was 2023 finals run Jamal Murray for the Nuggets. Like, he was 43 ball, I believe. He was just phenomenal, making everything, getting to his spots, his explosiveness as a passer. Jamal Murray that was a sensational game from Jamal Murray. But then you had everyone stepping up. Like Christian Braun was great. He had huge threes late in that third quarter into the fourth quarter. Michael Porter Jr. was great. Aaron Gordon was awesome. It was the whole supporting cast. And, of course, Russell Westbrook, who had 19 points coming back from the injury. Huge addition off the bench. So the whole supporting cast stepped up when Jokic didn't need to. But we don't see that consistently from this Nuggets team. Like, you really don't know what you're going to get from this group every single night. Michael Porter Jr. is one of the more inconsistent playoff performers that we've seen over the last couple years. And so when you get that production from the Nuggets help and you don't get it from the Clippers, because from the Clippers perspective, this was a classic vintage playoff James Harden game. And usually when you want to use the words vintage playoff game for someone, it should mean like, oh, this was a vintage Steph Curry game. He went off for a 40 ball. A vintage playoff game for James Harden is 9 points, like only 8 shot attempts, 2 for 8 shooting, I believe it was. Just a poor performance. Wasn't even aggressive offensively. Like, there's just too many times in the playoffs where he looks like he's disinterested as a scorer and he's not trying to score. And Kawhi wasn't awesome last night, so you needed James Harden to step up. You needed other guys to take on that load, and James Harden had a James Harden performance. And when the Nuggets supporting cast is going to play like they did, and the Clippers and James Harden and that supporting cast is going to play like they did, the Nuggets are going to get the best of them, and that's what we saw last night, especially off of that buzzer beater where the Nuggets really fell apart late in that game 4, in that Aaron Gordon buzzer beater game. The Nuggets completely fell apart. They had a huge lead in that fourth quarter, and the Clippers stormed all the way back, and then it was a horrible last possession where Jokic chucked up a three from the right, a fadeaway 3 from the right wing, and Gordon was just there to swoop up an air ball. But the Nuggets fell apart, so it was a great response from them in Game 5. And now we're headed to Game 6, where I still think I had Clippers in 7. This series always felt like it was going 7 to me. So I'm pretty confident in the Clippers getting one back at home in Game 6. And then you get an awesome Game 7, I believe, will be on Saturday. And anything can happen in Game 7.
Anything could happen. Game will be played in Denver, so that's something to factor in. Of course, 7-game series, Game 7 on the road. 6.5, though. I think the odds makers are in total agreement with you, because as I sit here, Shawnee Square, there's no way I'm giving 6.5, but maybe that might be the right side. Does it get ugly for the Clippers?
I think it could. I mean, it's just like a desperation spot at home. Intuit Dome has obviously become a pretty difficult place to play.
But then who doesn't perform for the Nuggets, right?
That's what you see. Like, Michael Porter Jr. could have a 1-for-9 shooting night. Like, Jamal Murray probably isn't going to go for 40 plus again. Like, Russell Westbrook was awesome from 3 yesterday. He's probably not hitting 3 or 4 threes, whatever he hit last night. Like, it's just, they have so many inconsistent performers, and that's why nobody believed in this Nuggets team making a long run. Because yes, you have the best player in the world, but does he have enough help? And last night he obviously did, because he didn't even have to do that much, but he doesn't on a consistent basis. And these are just inconsistent performers. So if Kawhi Leonard has a classic Kawhi game where he has a 35 bolt and James Harden maybe makes a few more threes, a little more aggressive offensively, and Norman Powell steps up. And Chris Dunn, who had been awesome defensively throughout this whole series, was actually making his shots last night after struggling offensively through the first 4 games. Maybe he hits a few threes. Like, I could see this Clippers team coming back and winning this series, honestly, just because you never know what you're going to get from the Nuggets on a nightly basis.
All right. Well, we will talk about that game, of course, at length tomorrow as game 6 in LA. And it's a 6.5 point spread tomorrow night. Tomorrow we get a little two for a doubleheader, Knicks and Pistons, and then the Clippers and Nuggets to close up shop. Pretty good battles right there between those two games. So looking forward to that. We do have game 1 already on DraftKings odds for the Pacers and Cavs. 7.5 point spread. That game is going down on Sunday. May the 4th be with you. May the 4th be with the Indiana Pacers catching 7.5. Woo! Good grief. We'll see how that one plays out. All right, let's get to tonight's games. Sam Oshtry from The Score. 1 series coming to a close tonight. 2 series coming to the close tonight. Nobody moving on tonight. Where do you stand on that?
Nobody's moving on tonight.
Oh!
Both series are being extended. Which one do you want to start with? Which one should we go with?
Well, let's start with the 7:35 tip. Houston Rockets 3.5 point favorites. It was 4.5 yesterday. Money coming in on Golden State. Obviously, 204 is our total here. You're going to go with the Houston Rockets to win the game tonight.
I am, and the odds makers, obviously, both home teams are favored. They think both these series could be extended. Look, it's similar to the Nuggets in the sense that these are a lot of young guys, and I would never have trusted. I had Warriors in 7 originally. I would never have trusted the Rockets over a 7-game series. I would never have trusted the Rockets over a 7-game series strictly because of their inconsistency and their youth and their inexperience, right? So I just can't pick them throughout a series. Tonight is different, though. What we're seeing from Jalen Green is what we see from Jalen Green throughout the regular season, and now it's being magnified on this stage. But game 1, 8 points. Game 2, 9 points. Game 3, 38 points. The only game that they won. And then game 4, 7 points. You see the trend. Like, Jalen Green has to be better. He was benched in game 4 for Steven Adams late in that game, which I think is a good call because the Rockets' best offense is their 2 big lineup, just going out there and getting offensive rebounds and creating second chance opportunities off of misses because their half court offense is a disaster. So I like the benching, but Jalen Green's going to come back and he has to have a great night. And I think he does. These games have just been so close. You've just seen the Rockets kind of fall apart in crunch time because their offense is a disaster, especially their half court offense. And of course, when you've Curry and Butler and the experience of Draymond Green, who's been awesome defensively, I just think that's enough to lift the Warriors on most occasions. Tonight, I think the Rockets figure something out. The physicality has been off the charts. Like, it wasn't the first half of that game 4 was not even a basketball game. Like, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, Dylan Brooks, those guys were not even trying to play basketball. They were literally playing UFC out there and just trying to fight. And Dylan Brooks has to learn at some point. You're poking the wrong bears. Like, you need to know the people that you can get under their skin. When he was in Memphis, he was always coming after LeBron. He would poke the bear with LeBron. LeBron would go off. You're poking the bear with Jimmy Butler, and I get it. You want to assert your presence and talk smack. Jimmy Butler starts going off in that second half where he could barely walk on this pelvic bone injury because you're poking the bear. It's like, leave the guys alone that you know you can't talk smack to and get in the people's heads who you can talk smack to.
But if Jimmy Butler loses his cool, chokes Brooks, that's a big win for Houston if both of those teams get thrown.
Yeah, well, he did choke him. He put his hand on his neck and it went uncalled because he did it subtly.
I love playoff basketball.
It's been awesome. But like,
yeah.
I think this game is going to have a similar tone where it's like the Rockets, now they're back at home. They just want to make it as physical as possible. Draymond Green should have been kicked out of that game.
Oh, yeah.
No question. I mean, the refs found a loophole to keep him in the game, which I like to some degree. Like, you don't want to see physicality and become flagrant fouls and technicals and get guys booted from a game. Like, physicality is part of the sport. It's part of playoff basketball. It's the tone the refs have sent where they're going to allow these guys to do that. So I like him staying in the game, but that easily a different referee crew, and he could have been tossed from that game. I think the Rockets set a similar tone. I just think the Rockets extend this series, and then the Warriors take care of it back at home in 6.
I think Draymond Green has a future in politics because a lot like some people in politics where it's like, wait, what? This guy is still around? This guy is still doing this? And it's like, nobody cares. Like, same thing with Draymond. It's just every single series. And then I love it. It's like, well, I didn't do anything wrong. Yeah. Like his foot just, automatically finds the opposing either head or opponent's head, right? When he's coming down to the ground. Or, you know what? I think I heard Greeny yesterday say, what did he say? I forget that he called the privates something, the ding dong. Yeah, that's what he said. He literally said ding dong on ESPN. I'm like, you talking like a 3-year-old here? Ding dong? I don't know. Anyways,
Well, Steve Kerr has been with him for 15 plus years, whatever it is now.
He saw a lot of kicks to the groin.
And he sure has. And he still somehow, I guess he's a good actor, somehow acts like befuddled. Yeah. When the refs are like calling fouls and
doesn't it give you the politics vibe, right? Like, yeah, this guy's he's gonna learn his lesson. Sure, he's gonna change.
Well, that's what they did last year. That's what we did last year. It's after he got suspended mid-season. It was a disastrous year for the Warriors.
Yes.
All these articles and sit-downs, how he's going to therapy. He's a changed man.
Oh,
he had to look at himself in the mirror. As a father, he had to change. Like, Draymond hasn't changed. Draymond will never change. He's the same dude, and Draymond should never change because that's Draymond.
Move out of the way, Stephen A. We're going Draymond Green 2028. All right. I don't know who his VP would be, but we'll have
some thoughts in my mind.
Yeah, I can only imagine. All right, let's keep it moving. And again, from the Golden State Warriors, Houston Rockets 3.5 tonight. We'll close up shop 10:05 p.m. 5.5 here. Sam Oshtry from The Score. Let's go under 3 minutes on this breakdown. Ant Edwards has been the best player on the floor. I think LeBron has been a little bit better than Luka, a little bit, right? Like, I don't know what else you can ask for from these two guys other than absolutely going off. And I don't know that they have the juice left in the tank to be able to do that. I would expect Luka to have a little bit more offensive firepower tonight, but LeBron, it's just a tall ass, dude. It's the end of the season. It looks like he's a little tired out there, so on and so forth. JJ has his ways of going about it. They were up. I'm not going to kill him for what he decided to do. I think you need to get your players some blow. A blow. Some blow would be a whole different world. But
they might need most of it. They might need both of that. They might need both of that.
Probably find some good stuff out there in LA. 5.5 tonight. 209 is your total. You think the Lakers are winning this game? Did they cover the number?
Yeah, I think they cover. I think they win pretty handily. First off, the free throw disparity in Game 4 favored the Wolves by a lot. I think you're going to see a complete shift back in LA. Like, I'm not saying there's going to be the call-in, but you see this a lot where the refs are favoring the home team that wants to extend the series, especially when it's the Los Angeles Lakers. Like, it always happens. I'm not saying it was a fix or a rig or anything like that. It's just in the back of the ref's mind. And the Wolves know that. That's part of the message they're sending is we're playing 5-on-8 tonight to close this series out. So you're going to see the free throw disparity swing back a ton in the Lakers' favor, especially after the missed calls against the Lakers late in that game. You need more from LeBron and Luka in the fourth quarter. Like, Luka did not score in crunch time in the final 4 or 5 minutes of that game. LeBron obviously was not a factor offensively in the fourth quarter. And if part of that is fatigue, I think JJ Redick learned his lesson. He's going to give those guys some blow, maybe at the beginning, not that blow, but or maybe both. You go back to the locker room, whatever.
Luka.
Yeah, Luka could probably use it. Some hookah in the back locker room.
Get him some
compliment
hookah,
with some hookah. What goes with hookah these days.
There you go.
But he's gonna give them some rest, not blow, some rest. In that fourth quarter early on, so they're well rested and can hit a little burst on both ends. Because LeBron was great defensively, but he was disastrous. Not even disastrous. He just wasn't really involved in the offense. He was relegated to the corner, more of a spot-up shooting role. And that's not what LeBron should be. I get it's Luka. You want Luka with the ball in his hands, and him and Ant were going head-to-head for a lot of that second half. Just trading buckets. But you don't want that. You want LeBron more involved. You want Luka to be more of a factor defensively. I mean, he had his hands 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter in that last game. He had his hands on his knees, huffing and puffing. Like he's obviously been sick throughout this series. He's also not the in general, not the best conditioned guy, but he can't be huffing and puffing. So you got to get him his breaks so he's ready to go for a surge on both ends, because the Anthony Edwards and the Wolves are just relentlessly targeting him. I mean, he is a absolute cone out there defensively, which isn't exactly breaking news to anyone. Definitely not breaking news to Nico Harrison, which is why he traded him. But he's a cone out there defensively. And it's like, you got to give more effort. And I get part of it is he wants to conserve himself offensively, which is why he doesn't compete as hard defensively. But you got to give more effort on defensive end, where Anthony Edwards can't just drive. Your man's going to go set a screen for Anthony Edwards every single time, and he's just going to drive by you like you're a cone, and he's playing like a toddler out there on offense. So they have to get rest, and I think they will. I think you're just going to see a better effort, physicality. Like the Wolves have the size advantage. That's part of this series, and because the Lakers have to play small with Rui at the 5 because they don't have a center. Sure, we get all that, but you have to see more physicality, more gang rebounding, because the Wolves have been dominating the rebounding battle. And I think you're going to see that tonight. I think the series extends one more game.
All right. Sam, your favorite play tonight?
It's the Lakers. I think the Lakers win pretty big. I believe that number is 6.5 now.
5.5.
So I think the Lakers win pretty big. I don't even think it comes down to crunch time, and maybe if it does, the Lakers pull away late. You're not going to Luka and LeBron in an elimination game at home with the refs probably on their side. It's hard to imagine Lakers don't win by a sizable margin.
All right. Once again, Sam Oshtry, you can find him on socials at SOSHTRY. That's his first initial last name, Sam Oshtry. He writes for The Score. Check out everything he has going on over there. And be sure to hear him tomorrow on the Daily Ticket live in studio starting at 3 p.m. We'll be talking a ton about the NBA playoffs and recapping it all. And, of course, everything that's happening in the Philadelphia sports world. If you miss anything, be sure to check out everything we have going on, including tickets to the Truist Championship. You're trying to go to next week's Truist Championship PGA Tour stop? Yeah. Find out how you can win a pair of tickets at foxphlgambler.com. Keep it locked right here to The Gambler.